he was the nicest guy in town.
He was about the most popular man in Carthage.
Real people person. Just made you feel real good about yourself. It's like he had cast a spell over the entire area.
Room service.
And she was just a mean, old widow.
She used to tear up my toys. She pulled the heads off my dolls.
Well, there's some goodness in there, too.
Who says opposites don't attract?
She doesn't have anyone. She's a very lonely person. She needs someone.
Jack Black in School of Cock.
Oh, man. That's what you open with?
Yeah. I know that has what does that have to do with anything we're about to talk about?
Well, it does when it does to us watching this movie from the outside when it's blatantly obvious that his character is gay, and any person who doesn't live in a tiny little southern conservative Christian town. But
it's 2012. Why are you hating on gay people?
There was no hate there. I'm just saying it's really he's everything but wearing like carnival outfits. And come on.
Hey, it's 2012. You just telling me you can't walk around dressed up like you're going to Club Carnival all the time? Is there something wrong with that now these days?
Maybe you're going to be in a road production of Immortals.
Yeah. Man, maybe you're just feeling good, huh? What's wrong with that?
Is that something you're known to do, co-host?
Sure.
Why not?
Bringing it back. Was it around?
He's going to make it acceptable to even people like you, Cyrus.
Exactly.
I don't have a problem with anyone doing it. I'm just saying, come on.
I don't know. You said some things.
Well, hey, he plays a great cocksucker in this movie. I'll give you that.
Well, here he does indeed play the titular character, Bernie, who is, and this is a Richard Linklater film based on, sort of, loosely based on a true story.
Why do you guys say loosely?
I know. You get me all confused.
The actual events that happen are absolutely true in this film.
Okay.
It is the reaction around the events that might be at least slightly exaggerated.
Well, look, we'll deal with that later.
Yeah.
The film itself.
The film itself
deals with the story of this actual guy, Bernie Tide.
I think it's just Teed, isn't it?
No, I remember.
No, this isn't The Walking Dead.
I remember it was pronounced with two syllables.
Okay, well, we'll just call him
Bernie Tita.
We'll just call him Bernie.
Yeah.
Okay, and he is this really beloved guy in this small town who just does everything. I mean, he's one of those guys who helps with every organization that's there, with scouting, with local theater, with like the choir.
He's a funeral director.
He's a funeral director as well, and he's like apparently like, God's gift to funeral directors.
Oh, yeah.
He's like everybody loves him. Every widow in the town who's lost a husband thinks of him as like one of their best friends because he goes way out of his way, well past what the job calls for.
Yeah, he's freaking Mother Teresa, except he's fat and he's Jack Black.
But it's like one of these things where like, man, he does so much in this community. I'm like, how does he have time to do all this? I'm getting tired just watching him.
And as this film goes along, it's filmed in one of those, okay, we're watching it as a film, but we're also watching interviews with people along the way about him, talking about, I never could believe those things they say of him. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they told the ending right at the beginning, right?
No.
Did they not?
No, because while watching this, I really had no idea where it was going to go.
Okay, all right.
So I didn't see that coming.
All right, because I knew ahead of time, so I don't want to spoil anything.
No, I had no clue.
The story follows as he befriends a rich widow, played by Shirley MacLaine, which is, wow, it's a pleasure to see her again. It's been a while.
Sure.
It was great to see her crawl out from under that rock that she was in for a while. Damn.
Yeah, she needs to go to a Susan Sarandon surgeon, but still. Anyway, so everyone is shocked because she's a bitch, a royal bitch, the worst kind imaginable.
Yeah, what was her character's name?
Shoot. Hold on, I don't have
I'm
the
sorry.
cast
I
list
thought you
here.
had it.
Thanks for putting me on
I'm sorry. I thought you had
spot.
it right there.
Marjorie Nugent.
Yeah.
And the thing about this movie is that they go out of their way to interview every single townsperson just so they can say, this lady was a bitch.
Yeah. We don't know what Bernie was doing. I know he's like kind to a fault, but it was ridiculous. And, there's this undertone where people are starting to go, well, she was really rich. And we're wondering if maybe Bernie was like just wanted to be a kept man. And you can't help but there's a lot of things like that as an audience member watching this film you're never really sure of, and all you know is that something bad happens at some point. It's not very clear at all what that thing is, but we know this because Matthew McConaughey is in the film as a local sheriff a local district attorney,
attorney,
who the whole time is just talking shit about Bernie. He's the one guy they're interviewing who's like, no, man, this guy, okay, first off, he had to have been gay, and why no one else saw this movie. I don't understand.
I know you can't help it when you're introduced to the character. You're like, wow, this is like the Pillsbury Doughboy, running around doing nothing but good. But I mean, the thing is about this documentary is that it doesn't really give you a sense of really what is going on, because when they're interviewing people, they're talking about this Bernie character in the past tense. So it leaves you to speculate a lot of things, like, okay, where is this going? But when they bring in the DA, you're like, okay, this is getting a little bit more interesting.
Right.
Let's go. Even though Matthew McConaughey's, you're wondering, okay, is this the comedy part of the movie?
I really liked, I would almost say loved Matthew McConaughey's performance in this, because I hated him. The whole time, I was just like, this guy's a dick. And I don't care what Bernie did. I don't want this guy to win.
Well, and the movie's really smart in putting you into that position until you actually finally see the whole plot and the way really everything that happened. And then it asks you, do you still feel that way? And no one could blame you if you did.
Yeah, because when you watch Shirley MacLaine, that way the woman she is portraying is an absolute not a nice person, Well,
the thing is, I've been in that position where there's been, like, even at work, people will tell you, like, that we've had times where we've had somebody there who was just kind of mean and snarled at everybody, and I'm like, I'm going to make her my friend. They're like, why? I'm like, just because you guys have shunned this person. I made it my mission. And it took me 6 months, but I finally got her to, like, talk and engage me. And I just became, like, this thing. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to be nice to her every day. And so I could kind of see where Bernie was coming from. It's like, look, I know there's a good person underneath who's probably just mad or hurt. And you know what? I felt like he deserved the money, because where everybody else had blew her off, he was willing to stick in there and do the time genuinely and, enjoy her company. And they went around doing stuff, and he was giving her that good life. It's like with Anna Nicole Smith, where you're like, look, yeah, she might have bilked that 80-year-old billionaire, but she made his life happy for that little time he had.
At least in terms of the film.
Yes, in terms of the film.
In terms of the film. Like, the real-life story, there's still some question about the degree to which, what was really happening there. But in terms of the film, which is the only way we can judge this, really, there's no point that you dislike Bernie at all. You don't see him doing anything wrong. I mean, is he enjoying the money along with her?
Sure.
Yeah, but he's not going and taking it and doing horrible things. I mean, they're going off on vacations all over around the world together, and just having the time of her lives, where previously she was a shut-in that everybody hated and she had no friends. So I don't see the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you see the problem when, you realize that, man, Bernie is held captive in a situation that he created.
Yeah, that's where it switches.
And they do a great job with that switch, because even I was like, man, I understand, where a relationship like that, you're investing so much time in it because you're hoping for a better outcome. But when it goes south, you're like, man, I can't say it's good what he did, but I can't fucking blame him.
He's the kindest, gentlest soul, and the movie really makes you fall in love with him, even if he's somebody you would like. We would never hang out with Bernie in real life. He's not the kind of guy who would
talk.
He's kind of a weirdo.
It's not that. He's just, his interests veer so far from ours. He is a small town, very, very Christian, very, very empathic, very.
Gay.
It's such a thing. He's gay, but it's not something that is part of his behavior either.
Right. He's not going, hello, Frisco.
His affectations, sure,
yes,
but not like the things that he does. He's just, like I said, he's running the Boy Scouts. Wait a minute.
Oh, no, wait, hold on. That scene creeped me out.
No, come on, not everything. No, he's doing community theater. No, wait.
Oh, come on.
I'll take that.
Yeah, but
Sucks dick.
It's not so much as, it's one of those things where, like, if somebody is gay and they're out about it, you almost feel more comfortable in somebody who's, closeted, where you can see it, because it's just like, dude, I can't trust you if you don't trust yourself. Just be honest.
What is your agenda?
Well, his being gay or not is in this film is kind of central to what ends up happening, because it is about this guy who, like, on every level is like he doesn't do anything wrong. He is the nicest, coolest, sweetest guy who is in denial, clearly,
Yeah.
to some degree, about who he really is inside. Like, he is not in touch with his own feelings at all. Yeah. So when a time comes that, like, his behavior gets out past him to the point that he's not even sure what's going on, you're not surprised, really.
Right.
It's like one of those, like, hey, man, you're so used to covering up your own feelings at this point that it's not terribly surprising.
And that's where I have to give Jack Black a lot of credit because, I remember, Cyrus, you were telling me, wow, this is the first thing I've liked Jack Black since School of Rock, and I could see why, because he's not playing that annoying character. He's actually playing a character who you can sympathize with, you actually like. Just seeing him go through the motions of his daily life, he really sold the fact that this guy, like, how could you be really upset with the poor bastard? And I thought Jack Black, this is the first movie, and I think maybe it's because he's been so awful in his past other movies that I'm probably giving him a little too much credit. I'll probably look back on this and go, you know what? He didn't do that much acting, but I was really surprised. But everyone in this cast does a stellar job. Even Matthew McConaughey, I think that motherfucker just needs to play lawyers throughout his entire career.
Apparently, that's
he's so goddamn good. He's found his niche. Yeah.
Well, he's got that weird, just as a person, he's got that weird cross between likable and slimy.
Oh yeah,
that's just like, oh well, lawyer is clearly your.
Oh
job.
yeah. They need to like put a picture of him next to the word lawyer in the dictionary or something, or on Wikipedia.
But this is kind of a departure for Jack Black as well. I thought this is, except for the fact that he gets to sing here and there, it's a which once again, choir music a little bit different. He's still singing about Satan.
But
I thought it was a real stretch for him, and I think that a large part of the success of this film is due to his performance, which completely endears you to this character.
I can understand chewing each bite of some food 25 times like chicken fried steak, but I don't think you have to chew your refried beans that many times. It doesn't really make sense. It's unnecessary additional work for your jaws. Think of your poor TMJ muscle. It couldn't be good for it. It's inefficient. Think about it. You know this drives me crazy. Please stop. This is like nails on a chalkboard to me. Okay, go ahead. Chew like that. Chew like that all day.
Which isn't to put down Linklater at all, who has already proven he's really good at doing sort of like very intimate, small town portraits of people. Oh, yeah. And I think this is among his best films.
Oh, easily, yeah.
It's funny because the only place I disagree with you guys is about Jack Black. Because for me, everything I loved about this film was all the stuff around, like what Linklater did with it. Because I don't always like his films, but sometimes he does one like this. It's personal. I like, wow, you really nailed it. Jack Black, there was something like from the beginning. I don't know. I just felt like him playing a character rather than being that character. It was something about the affectations, just a little slightly overdone. It's hard to even put my finger on it, but yet to where I just kept seeing it as Jack Black doing this, pretending to be this guy, as opposed to a real, genuine, three-dimensional character the way Shirley MacLaine was, or even Matthew McConaughey. Over time, I got involved enough with the story to where I was like, okay, I'll go with it. And it's interesting at the end to see Jack Black talking to the real Bernie and, like, I guess kind of taking notes on how to play it. And I would have liked to see, the actual Bernie himself talk. Because maybe if I saw him, I might go like, oh, wow.
He had it spot on, probably.
He had it spot on. But just looking at it, it just felt more like a caricature.
But you know what the thing is, because I thought the same exact thing, especially at the very beginning of the movie, because you can't help but not notice that. But at the end of the movie, I started thinking about that same exact thing. I was like, wow, was it his performance, or was he just doing like a slight exaggeration on the character? But then I thought about the other key players, and it was specifically Shirley MacLaine and Matthew McConaughey, where they all those characters are they feel a little bit exaggerated, but they work within the realm of the story, and where I guess it evened out the playing field for me, because it didn't make me really question, like, okay, I know they're playing characters, but for this type of movie and the type of movie that it's representing, I thought it worked great in as far as what they were establishing. But one thing I do want to point out before I forget is how much of a character the townspeople are.
Oh yeah,
where they blew me away. And it wasn't until the end of the film where I realized, like, oh wait, this is an actual event. And then they kept interviewing the townspeople, and I was like, wait, are these talented people? Are they really being interviewed and talking specifically about this woman that they just cannot stand?
A lot of them were and talking about how much they love Bernie. A lot of them were. They actually used the footage in the interviews for the film,
which I thought was fascinating.
And they intermixed it with
really
some actors playing those roles, but still, you would never know the difference. It is fascinating, and they're all so It was funny because I remember watching during the movie thinking they're so believably small town, but in a sort of affectionate, charming sort of way,
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to be stuck there with a bunch of college kids on your way out to a camping trip in Boston, because you know what happens then. But no, you know what I mean. I mean, they're really likable and funny, and there these two women that were cracking me up every time they were on. The one was just cracking up at everything the other one would say.
That one who was like, man, that lady was a cunt and a half. What a bitch, and her friend was like,
Well, people often talk about using non-actors in a movie, especially from a local, place where it's being shot. But here, I thought he did it seamlessly, to where he really knew just what to get from the people. I don't know if it's the editing or just giving them direction on how to tell their story, but it worked. It had me completely fooled, almost until the credits were rolling, when I was like, oh wow, this was a real person talking about the event.
And the biggest laughs in the movie come from those interviews.
Yeah.
Easily. A few big belly laughs even. Yeah. I was like, all right, that was awesome.
My favorite moment is where this one guy in a bar starts to talk about the specific areas of Texas.
That was great.
Like, wow, this is a great learning lesson for me. Yeah. and I live in the fucking state.
Yeah. We're where the loopy liberals are.
The hairy leg.
Hairy leg. Yeah.
Well, okay, guys, what do you give this film?
Well, you know what? I still think it was really, really well made. I didn't love it as much as you guys, but I got a big kick out of it. I think everybody should see it. Again, it's one of those that's falling in between the cracks. I'm not sure where I want to go with it. I'm probably going to say a very high matinee.
I'm going to give it a full price, and I say that because I really wasn't aware of the story and it even being remotely true. So as it went along, the biggest payoff was just knowing that fact. True. And making me want to research it more. It in some ways it played out like that Jim Carrey movie.
Oh yeah. I Love You, Philip Morris.
I Love You, Philip Morris. In a way, this would be a great companion piece for true stories that when you watch, you think this is so exaggerated and so absurd that how could it possibly happen? When at the end, it's another movie where it kicks you in the face and lets you know, no, this shit really happened. You're like, wow, it did. Whoa! But for a Richard Linklater film, I was just happy to see that this guy really is truly a great filmmaker when he's within his realm of making just magic happen, and I'm talking about the fact that he can get these characters to be interesting, believable, and fun just to watch. And this whole experience watching this movie was just a really fun time watching it. Just looking at the surface level, I would never imagine it'd be something I'd be into, but I really was taken back by how into it I was.
Yeah, it's what I always say. I have a hard time not calling something a truly great film when it really runs you through the gamut of emotions. And this is one of those films that does that. I mean, it's charming, it's really funny, it's very sad, it's kind of bittersweet and melancholy, and then it's very thought-provoking. I mean, I walked out of this film thinking a lot about what it was trying to say and the position it wanted me to be in as an audience member, to think about things onto a very human and moral level. I mean, it's fascinating the amount of stuff that's right under the surface that you can delve deeper into if you want, or you can just take it as a fun, lighthearted, kind of fluffy piece too. It's a truly great film, and like I said, one of Richard Linklater's very best, and one of my favorites of this year so far. Even I'm going to give this a full price. I'm only sad that I bet you it's not going to get a real wide release.
I know that's the thing I thought too. It's like it deserves a wide release, but being about a small town, I could see that not happening.
Yeah. And it's a great lesson for the rest of the world, just as far as don't be a dick, So,
Well, that's always a lesson for the rest of the world.
We need more movies about that.
We need more towns like this.
Do we?
Yeah, do we?
do.
Because like what happens and how that comes about, what the character Matthew McConaughey's character Danny Buck does to win. I was like, you are a scumbag piece of shit.
Yeah. I don't know if we need more towns like this, but we need more movies about towns like this.
Yes, there you go.
He didn't do it.
He's an angel, all right. An angel of death.
That dog don't hunt.
Jack Black, Shirley MacLaine, Matthew McConaughey.
Wheel of misfortune. If your number comes up, Danny Buck's coming to get you first.
Bernie,
In the freezer? Yeah. All in one piece or chopped up?
One piece.
Frozen like a popsicle.